Well, hi, and a very warm welcome to you from Trucking TV. I'm Chris. We're on this morning on Saturday morning. I thought we were on before, but I'm not entirely sure that we were. We do have issues constantly with doing live broadcasts, and I just find it a bit unreliable, I think is the word I'm going to use. So there you go. Hopefully you can see us today. Hopefully, I don't know. It's I thought we did some kind of show at around 12 noon. If you were there, that would be nice. I have got some live viewers now, so maybe things have worked. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Doing this live stuff is really deeply frustrating at times. Good morning, Martin, but actually quite a lot of fun, to be honest with you. So I'm going to stick with it and we'll keep doing it. This morning, we came up with some interesting little stories this morning, and I wanted to talk about a couple of those, and this is the first one. Truck parking is a constant issue in the UK, and we really bloody need to deal with it. How do we deal with it? Good question. Ashford District Council, Borough Council, has said that our system for clamping people is fantastic. In the past 12 months, we've clamped something like, 2,000 vehicles and charged them 150 quid release fee per vehicle, which is around 300k, 300,000 quid in the course of a year. Now, obviously, they've got expenses doing it. They had to spend 25 quid on some signs, and they have to hire some people to go around and nick trucks. There you go. Probably doesn't amount to 300k. But having said that, I can understand it because it's Leafy Kent, and Leafy Kent is, let's be honest, it's where the parking places are. It's a pretty NIMBY-ish kind of area, I guess. We went and had a look down there last year, and where trucks were parking is very, charming area. Dick Turpin wore a mask, okay. I don't know what that means. Oh, I see what you mean. It's how you know they're crooks, okay. I love it. So the reality is that the council is going out, they're nicking people now, they're going to nick people more. They said, actually, when we look at the actual interesting page itself, I'll just go and have a little look. When we get to the page itself, one of the things that they say is that they reduced the amount of trucks parked in their area by, I think they said 60%. 60% fewer trucks parked overnight inappropriately in the borough. And that's a lot of vehicles, isn't it? Let's be honest and say it's. I find it really. I find it bloody peculiar, really, when you think about it, because guys really rely upon vehicles to bring the goods we need to live, to eat, breathe, all that stuff. And in reality, they said, well, you can come here and then you go. And I think that's completely awful. Now, we have to say there is, of course, a point to be made about truck stops. The nice parish council chairwoman said, we need more truck stops, of course, but not anywhere near us. So she went on about it somewhat, and she said it's also about, she said, she added concerns drivers do not have anywhere else to park overnight, calling for more truck stops. Well, it's so easy to call for truck stops until someone says, let's have a truck stop near where you live, and people then promptly go apeshit, don't they? So the reality is, it's a little bit of a more difficult question than that. Going back to that piece, I don't know whether you noticed down the bottom there, it also says that Ashford truck stop is expected to increase by a further 200 spaces in February, as the facilities have been at full capacity most nights. And it charges 30 quid, they get a 6 quid, or you get a 6 quid voucher, the showers are free to use. I think probably it's an expensive thing. Yeah, that's true. It's an expensive thing, and drivers, have to pay. What can we say? Well, companies have to pay. I think it's a really difficult question. A couple of comments. Mick Whittaker, yeah, Mick, I heard the same thing. The MP couldn't really care less and had blocked another page from contacting him. Let's be honest, MPs have got more important things to worry about, whether they get re-elected next time and keep their £70,000 per annum wage packet coming in. That's what MPs are worried about. They couldn't care less about truck drivers or anybody else much. What can you say to that one? Okay, I found that really bloody annoying as a story. I continue to find it annoying as a story. We have an issue because when we look back, let's just go back. I just want to go back to Tracking TV's own page, which I will do now. Let's go back to that page. I just wanted to make a comment about some of the views that people have expressed, because I support entirely what people have said, but the reality, of course, is that we have an issue with it. A lot of people have said, well, you know, we want to stop delivering to Kent. The truth is, your boss gets a load for Kent. He says, you've got a load for Kent tomorrow. Are you going to say, no, I'm not going there, Gov? And he said, well, I'll find some bastard who will. And that's you out the door. It's not a problem, I know, for most truck drivers to find another job, but the reality is that someone will take it, and at risk of their job, someone will not refuse. What can you say to that? Okay. The other point to make, of course, is that since dear old Arthur Scargill, I don't suppose there's many of us kicking about now who remember the bugger, but Arthur Scargill of the Coal Miners Union, since he got firmly trampled by Mrs. Thatcher going back years, trade unions in this country are the way people get together, and trade unions in this country ain't doing well, really. And drivers are notably not very unionised or not very keen to stick together, let's be honest and say. Back many years ago there was a big trade union, I think it was the biggest, called the Transport in General. That no longer exists, and essentially it no longer exists because not enough people join unions. Such is life. When I was a kid, you had to be in the union, you really didn't have any choice. But in this day and age, we ain't. And to be honest with you, when we look across the channel, we look at French drivers who can bring the country to a standstill because they work together, and in the UK, that kind of thing doesn't happen. Sad, really, isn't it? It's sad. There you go. But we do need to do something about Kent. So, what are we going to do about Kent? Well, I think yeah, I agree, Mick. You'd strike, you'd protest a lot, but so many other drivers, we need food to provide for food and bills. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Derek, I don't think any council has a legal obligation. I'm just reading off the screen really here. I don't think any council has any legal obligation. Yeah, I think spineless is definitely the word we're looking for, but I don't know whether it applies to all drivers. I don't think it does. I think a lot of drivers would join in any sort of action, but I think it's really difficult to organise because people don't want to be organised. I'm an independent spirit. What can you say? Okay, let's rattle on a little bit and we just wrap that up a bit, because I just want to get a couple more comments in. Let me just take a look. Derek Cooper says, surely this council has a legal obligation to allow stopping by HGVs for rest periods. Apparently not. I did look at this one and there is no legal obligation as far as I can find. I may be wrong. I may, but I can't find any kind of thing that gives councils an obligation to actually do anything with this one. I'm going to go, I'll come back to you on this one in a minute, but I'm just going to go and have a look at something else that rang my funny bone the other day, or today. There is a video that we linked to on Tracking TV, it's down the page from this, and that's the latest from the continent of financial immigrants trying to get into the UK. And 3 or 4 guys saw this wagon loaded with brand new cars. The cars, of course, are all unlocked, but they saw the wagon with all these cars and thought that must be going to England, and they jumped aboard. And what can you say to that one? I found that really, really amusing, to be honest with you. I know you shouldn't laugh, should you? But I found that really quite funny. And I thought that those guys in those cars are going to get a surprise, or have already got the surprise, because the transporter is actually wending its way to Holland. It was going the wrong way for them, so the guys are going to Holland, where they'll be welcomed with open arms by the Dutch police, who'll say, "What the jack shit are you doing in those cars?" I love it. Obviously, the truck driver, I don't think the truck driver had the vaguest idea they were there. It is true, I am told, that if you do that, trying to come to the UK, apparently the port customs do look in each of the cars. So if there's somebody in a car, then they're going to get discovered anyway. So guys, it's a waste of time. You ain't getting here via that method. Okay, let's go back to the to where we were and just have a look at a couple of other little comments, because I'd like to. There's nothing much else on there apart from that. Let's just put that up. Okay, and then I want to just go back and take a look at the comments that people have made today. I think that's right, Mick. So let's just have a little look down here and see what people are saying. So currently, Mick Whitaker has said unions are good if they support the people that pay monthly. From past experience, they haven't supported anyone in firms that I've worked for. I don't know. Were those people members? The only experience I've had of unions was years ago when I belonged, and my dad belonged to a union. And back in those days, and this is going back a bloody long way, guys, I can go back 60 years when my dad was in the trade union where he worked. He lost his thumb at work and paid off the mortgage, bought a car. There you go. So I think the reality is that unions in those days did a damn good job. And I think the unions in these days probably do a damn good job. But the reality is that it's like insurance, isn't it? You have to have insurance, but most of us don't need it during the course of our lives. We don't crash our cars very often. There you go. Our houses don't burn down very often, but we still pay the insurance. So it's an interesting one. Where do we go with that one? Mick, you ain't as old as me. No, you bloody ain't. I think the reality is that not many people are. There you go. Okay, I'm Chris Gosling. This is Trucking TV. I'm just going to mention a couple of things that are coming up. On Monday, we'll be doing a new thing. I'll bring that to your attention when we do it. One of the things, as I think you know, is that we have a keen interest in trying to get truck crime reduced or knocked on the head, or whatever you like to say. And if we can, we're going to start a new thing that will actually give us more reporting on truck crime and give us, if you like, more hammers to hit people with. I do feel very strongly that the public and the world and the police, to a large extent, aren't aware of just how much crime goes on out there that's aimed against trucks, especially trucks parked overnight. So I'm going to deal with that a bit more on Monday. Derek, yeah, people have moaned about Operation Stack. Yeah, well, it's deeply true. You're right. We don't have the same attitude as the French, and the French will go on strike for nearly anything that they feel strongly about, as we witnessed in Paris, as we've witnessed with truck drivers a few days ago. And Stack is in the UK is mostly caused by the action of French people. Derek, you're right about that, and I think it's a pain in the butt. What can you do? Okay, Mick, I'm coming back to you for the last time, Mick. What's the RHA doing? Well, as far as looking after truck drivers is concerned, the RHA is likely to do nothing, nor is the FTA. That's the Road Haulage Association, the RHA. The FTA is the Freight Transport Association, and both of those organisations are employers' organisations. So in other words, they represent hauliers, they do not represent drivers. Having said that, they have an interest, and I think it's a keen interest, excuse me, in making sure that vehicles and loads are safe overnight. So they are behind truck stops. They are also behind doing things that make drivers more available, i.e. both the RHA and the FTA would like to see more drivers in the business. For two reasons. Sorry about that. Two reasons. Reason number one is that the more drivers there are, Exactly right, Derek. The more drivers there are, the easier it is to keep wages down. That's a thought for you, isn't it? Okay, and the other one is they want to keep loads and goods safe. Brown envelopes, I doubt it in this day and age, Mick. We've had that all before down the years. But there you go. Okay, I'm Chris. This is Tracking TV. I am going to go and do my lunch now, I have to tell you. So this is where you can contact us. You can get in touch with us anytime through these things. We've got the Facebook page. We've got the YouTube page. We've got Tracking TV on Twitter. And you can also phone or message, i.e. text, voice message, whichever you prefer, if you want to be heard, because we'll play out what you say. Okay, the other thing to remind you about is that on our YouTube channel you can find stacks and stacks of video, interesting topic, some old news stuff. This news will go on the YouTube page in an hour or two. And yes, Mick, thank you very much indeed for that. I really appreciate it. A very Merry Christmas to you all, and we'll see you really soon. I think we should be online again, hopefully on Monday. So until then, I'll speak to you soon, but I will be online here and about. And take care of yourselves and have a good weekend.